Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. Coming up on the marketplace, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta outlines focus of media review as he seeks to fast-track economic recovery. We have an exclusive with him. Also coming up, vehicle and asset dealers demand review or reversal of Customs Amendment Bill, which bans importation of overage vehicles. Plus, the Ghana Stock Exchange plans full virtual trading to reduce physical interaction amid the COVID-19 pandemic. We've got details of those stories and others coming up in this half hour of Business News. Welcome back to the marketplace. My name is Darrell Kwao. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has indicated that the mid-year budget review would focus on programs aimed at fast-tracking the country's economic recovery. The Finance Minister confirmed to Joy Business the presentation to Parliament will be made next Thursday, July 23. He gave details on the business edition of PM Express, which airs tonight at 9 on this channel.
In an era of unknowns, know that, yes, lives and livelihoods, we have done well these 6 months. That has to be maintained. Small businesses have been taken care of to a certain degree, and now we have major businesses to tackle and to look forward to a whole revitalization program of agribusiness, manufacturing, and Ghana as a regional hub. You know, we are not deterred by what we have seen, because I think it's an opportunity to really galvanize new energy and dig deep into who we are as, you know, at this year that we came to conquer. You have to, I mean, certainly if you are needing more resources to be able to do what we have to do at the end of the year. And also you remember we took some money from the Stability Fund to Contingency Fund, and there's, I have to give a program as to how we're going to replenish that. So those two will come. I think that the issue, of course, is the application of the resources that we have. And I don't know, I mean, it's been 3.5 years of seeing how government has operated and what, therefore, the economy has been. And there has to be trust that we will use this money well, at least from the Ministry of Finance. I can assure you that we and the presidency would ensure the resources are used. I mean, we are, you know, confident that by God's grace, the people of Ghana will re-elect us. And if you are doing that, then you don't want to dig a hole for yourself. Huh? You truly want to make sure that you start January 2021 on a good note.
But the minister has also been talking about some massive stimulus package for industries that would be announced in the budget.
And when it is covered, and then you are having these foreign exchange numbers, these inflation numbers, and even with this downgrade in revenues of about 14 billion. And it's not only body and soul being kept together, but a real care for livelihoods and lives of people, and our intervention into the micro, small, medium enterprises, to make sure that even the informal market is taken care of. There's a lot more to do with regards to big businesses and formal businesses, and we expect to intervene on that level in the second half that we are going. And we are in the middle of a recovery program that we are designing to really cut short this recession and ensure that we recover faster than most. I think the commitment, if anything, is that in the President's statement, yes, we have to save life first and foremost. Secondly, we have to get the small and medium scale and informal market people operating with resources. Now we have to look at the whole issue of job creation and job losses and make sure we stymie it, and then put new capital into the system. As a Ghanaian, I'll look at, you know, what, even in the circumstances the government has been able to do, and the stability in a sense that we have. There are certain personal sacrifices that are going to occur, And we're going to look at all of that in the media to see how we can intervene to also, beyond the CAP bus program for MSMEs, now move to big business, the hospitality industry, tourism, manufacturing, aviation, and see the intervention that we need to do to also kickstart, a recovery.
So for the big businesses, you've done it for the small businesses, Honorable. Are we going to get something for the big businesses as well in terms of a stimulus package?
We have to. I mean, Georgia, it's not a question of choice. This really is what you call the organizational capacity of the nation. And we need to find means of ensuring that they are back in business, they are employing people, and they are thriving.
So don't forget, the full conversation is on the business edition of PM Express. That is at 9 tonight. Don't miss it. Well, let's put some of the things the finance minister said in perspective. Joining me is senior economist with Databank Research, Courage Mate. Thanks for your time this afternoon. So you heard bits of what the minister said. The media review would focus on fast-tracking economic recovery. It's very important during these times of the pandemic. What would that entail?
Well, good afternoon, Daryl. Thanks for having me. First of all, technically, it means that when the minister comes to Parliament, we won't only be expecting a revised budget for 2020, but we'll also be expecting a supplementary budget, because this would constitute new lines of expenditure that were not captured in the original budget to be revised. So you would want to revise the original budget because the assumptions have changed, but then because there are new expenditure items that will be falling through the budget, you also have to present a supplementary budget for legislative approval. And so that means that we'll also be expecting a supplementary budget this month when the minister comes to Parliament. Okay.
He also makes mention of the fact that this is an election year. Typically around this time, when there's a mid-year budget review, what do we expect government to announce? Remember that we are dealing with different situations now. We are dealing with a pandemic. He also spoke about a massive stimulus package for industries. At what cost to government whilst we try to manage expenditure?
Well, yes, and the thing now is that because of the size of the problem we are dealing with, the focus now is beyond the elections. You need to have an economy after the elections, and the only way you can have an economy after the elections is to focus on the bigger problem, which is COVID and life after COVID. And so it appears elections and the worries associated with winning an elections or not it is in the back burner. But I think that really, if you are able to revitalize the economy and put the economy on the path of growth and sustainable recovery, that in itself for me is a vote of confidence, and you need not do much at the polls. And so for me, the focus for me is going to be how we spend prudently to restore growth and ensure that confidence bounces back as quickly as possible. So the elections for me will be secondary.
Okay. We look forward to what the finance minister would announce. But I want to talk to you on another subject that has got to do with inflation for June, as announced by the Ghana Statistical Service. We are told that it declined by 1% from the previous month, and we're getting indication it is because of the easing of restrictions. How significant do you think is this drop?
Well, yeah, inflation declined by 0.1% from 11.3 to 11.2%. Is this significant? I think it's significant, but it also requires caution. It's significant in the sense that after the panic buying and the shock it introduced into the food index, right, we saw a sharp increase in the headline numbers for 2 consecutive months, April and May. And we were all wondering how long the increase would go on. Now, this reduction or slight reduction is significant in the sense that it's giving us reason to now ease our apprehension to conclude that, okay, come to think of it, it's eased. So it means that it will not continue indefinitely. So we can look forward to an improvement or a decline. However, there's also a strong note of caution, because if you disaggregate the consumer price index and you break it down into the food index and the non-food index, the decline we saw was as a result of a sharp reduction in the food inflation. But if you go into non-food inflation, what what you notice is that non-food inflation has been going up. In fact, despite the reduction in food inflation, non-food inflation went up. And actually, non-food inflation is going up at an increasing rate. So it went up at a rate of 0.3% in April, went up at 0.7% in May, and now 0.8% in June. Now, if you consider the fact that export prices have started going up, 15% increase in commercial transport fares, then there's also expectation of a normalization of utility tariffs to come. That could also mean that non-food inflation could pose upside risk. So there is also a bit of caution to be applied in the outlook. But generally, it's a positive news to the outlook.
And Courage, for the first time, the statistical service brought up the core inflation, which stands at 8.8%, and which means that without COVID, we may have been at 8.8%. How are we supposed to interpret this figure?
Impressive, isn't it? First of all, I was happy to see that, because normally what you just see is the Bank of Ghana publishing their measure of core inflation. How should we look at that? First of all, if you have the core inflation around a certain figure, it tells you the underlying inflationary pressure, so that if you knock off those volatile items, it tells you what inflation should be if you adjust for the volatility. So at 8.8%, it means that inflation is firmly well anchored. However, at 8.8%, if you compare it to, of course, this may not be a standardized way of comparison, but if you compare it to the Bank of Ghana's measure of core inflation, as at April or so, it was around 6%. And so if you are having in June core inflation around 8% or 8.8%, it tells you that although underlying inflation is still within grip, it might be experiencing a little bit of upward pressure again. So we also need to be careful as well.
Always appreciate your perspective. That was senior economist with Databank Research, Courage Mate. Appreciate it. You're watching The Marketplace. We are moving on to other stories. The Ghana Stock Exchange will intensify activities on its virtual platform to ensure that more brokers and clients are able to trade easily. The move is part of measures by the exchange to reduce physical interaction during the pandemic. Managing Director of the exchange, Eko Afezi, says they hope to make trading fully virtual soon.
What happens during trading is that investors place their orders through brokers. So investors can place their orders via phone or email or whatever through their brokers. And brokers can sit wherever they have access to the system and place the orders in the system. So that's the way it works. A few brokers have given access to their clients. I know one of the brokerage firms has given access to their clients. So their clients can sit in New York or Washington or London, anywhere, and put in their buys and sell orders. So we have been virtual for more than 10 years, and that is what I want the whole world to know. Okay, and that is why we've won 2 awards for being the most innovative stock market in Africa within the past 10 years. It's all because of the fact that we are highly automated. Brokers trade virtually, remotely. Investors can also do that. So going forward, we will move the technology to the doorstep of the investor, to the doorstep of the entrepreneur, so that we improve on the digitization of the market as we go forward.
So many developments in the automobile industry we want to update you on. The Vehicle and Assets Dealers Association of Ghana, VADAG, is demanding that government reviews or reverses the Customs Amendment Bill, which seeks to ban importation of overage vehicles. According to the union, the new bill will push them out of business. The association at a press conference asked government to rather develop a healthy competition in the automobile industry by allowing them to operate alongside manufacturing firms which are expected to assemble vehicles locally. Public Relations Officer Frank Ni Kofiga spoke to Joy Business.
From the beginning, we've said that we are not against the foreign investment. We are saying that they should come in, but we are asking government that why will you clear the market and make the market lucrative for an investor coming in? We are not afraid of competition. We are not scared of the competition. Rather, we are saying they should come. Already, we have Volkswagen in Ghana. We have Rana Motors. We have Kia Motors. We have Mercedes. We have Honda. We have all the brands in Ghana. We are not competing with anybody. But we are saying that do not take us out and bring another person to occupy the market. The market should be competitive. The market should be a market where demand will be the determinant. The people should determine what I want to buy and what I can afford. That is what we are saying. It's not about the competition.
Do you think the new bill is not going to encourage the competition in a healthy manner?
The new bill is not going to encourage competition. The new bill is going to create a market for the foreign investor only, because it says that government increases our duty to 35%. It means that our vehicles will be more expensive. The government says don't bring in the salvage vehicles. It means if you don't buy a salvage vehicles or repaired salvage vehicles, you are going to buy a brand new vehicle. How about if you can afford it? If you're bringing in a letter of conformance, of which we've seen a document with the standard authority, all the checklists in that document state that even to bring a clean title vehicle, which is the accident-free one, cannot be possible because the checklist will not give you the room to bring it. So it's not then about creating a market which is favorable for all, but creating a market which is favorable for the foreign investor only and kicking out the local out. And I don't think that is Ghanaian enough.
But you've engaged the ministry and all that. What has been their response? I know your president spoke about the fact that you met the trade minister, Alan Chemati himself. What has been the response and how come your inputs have not been taken?
I think this consultation have gone past a year and 6 months. Personally, I have been in the meeting for 3 times, and I think I'll commend first the Honourable Minister for making time to really engage us. Sometimes we sit in these meetings 4 to 6 hours. But we realize that the concerns that we put in before them are not being addressed. So then it's become difficult when you're going to the ground to let the people know that the ministry or government is taking into consideration our grievances.
You're watching The Marketplace. From 10 jars of the hot black pepper sauce Shito in 1993 to a food processing factory that supplies most parts of the country today, Letitia Beniwa-Safado's entrepreneurial journey can be described as remarkable. She was among the first to commercialize and distribute Shito, and she takes us through her 27-year journey on this episode of the Joy Business Van. In 1993, Letitia Beniwa-Safado, then a specialist nurse, felt a strong urge to explore the entrepreneurial competencies in her. She discovered a need.
You know, up until 1993, when we started the production and distribution of Shito, there was no ready-made Ghanaian Shito on the market where you just go pick a jar. All Shitos were being produced by various peoples in their own homes. But then for someone to think about producing it in commercial quantities, no one was doing that. And that was the market niche, or the gap that we saw and we set up to, capture it.
Shito, the hot black pepper sauce, is used with a variety of Ghanaian dishes. It is a must-have for especially students in the boarding school. So it was a good business move, and being the first to commercialize on a large scale was even better. But Letitia had to start from somewhere.
I first made 10 jars of Shito, distributed it to friends to actually taste and evaluate and give their genuine comments. And they were all very encouraging. So they had to pay for it anyway, the 10 jars. Then we produced 20 jars for the then Kingsway stores in Accra. And I took it on a Thursday. By Saturday, it was finished.
10 bottles, 20 bottles, and she couldn't keep up anymore. At this time, production was done manually in her kitchen, and Letitia had to keep up with increasing demand. She had to re-strategize and had to automate production. That she did with some funding support. But at a point in the life of the company, the huge investments were starting to have a toll. Growth was slowing, and Samba Foods was yet to break even. What's worse, a joint venture failed, and the banks wouldn't budge either.
You know, it was an experience that I would never wish my worst enemy to have. When you are doing well with the bank, they are always with you, you know, they are very cooperative. But when you get a hiccup, instead of finding appropriate solutions to solve, and not only me, but SMEs, finding appropriate solutions to the problems and moving forward with you, they just make sure you cave in.
But Letitia would not give in just yet. Soon, she would get the breakthrough she needed.
After the failed joint venture, we were lucky to get money from the Venture Capital Fund to expand. And it was at the same time that Yams Restaurants, that is KFC, was in the country looking for people or a company to produce for their KFC restaurants. And when you mention Shito, it connotes Samba, they came here. So they took us through the food safety systems that we needed to put in place to pass their external auditing regime, you know, to be able to supply them with the Shito.
Samba Foods had now included peanut butter and juices to its production. In 2015, it became the first indigenous company to list on the Ghana Alternative Market, operated by the Ghana Stock Exchange. Her contribution to industry in Ghana has been recognized by the state. Former President, the late Professor Evans Atta-Mills, conferred on her the state honor, Member of the Order of the Volta, for her invaluable contribution to the local industry in the category of food processing. But that is just one of several recognitions.
The one that I really cherish is the one, about 3 of them. The state one, that is Member of the Order of the Volta, that was presented to me by the late President, Professor Evans Atta-Mills. I was the Marketing Woman of the Year 2000. You know, it's one of the coveted awards that you can get. And to crown it all was an award by SMIGA.
Oh, she was referring to the SME Ghana Awards organized by Imaginate Company Limited. Aside from supplying international food chain KFC with Shito, 20% of Samba Foods products are for the export market. I mean, you've seen it all, you've done it all within this past 2 decades. What's the future like for your business, Samba Foods? What do you hope to do next from all that you've accomplished so far?
Yeah, our ultimate objective, the mission that we set ourselves to achieve, is to have a food processing emporium. We'll be building a modern state-of-the-art food processing facility that will encompass all aspects of food processing. There's going to be an academy added to that to train, you know, other young people in food processing and preservation. And then again, to fortify our stable foods with minerals, vitamins, and other substances to fight micronutrient deficiency syndrome in children, pregnant women, and lactating women. This we have started. We have produced the first, you know, fortified Shito in collaboration with GIZ, and this is what we want to replicate to take care of these malnutrition, micro malnutrition in Ghana and then the sub-region. And once we've achieved that, then I can sit down and rest and grow on pension.
Till then, it is more hard work.
And that's the marketplace.